to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen. I've been doing this podcast since September of 2012, and boy, are my lips tired. This is your daily dose of happy. We are so happy you decided to join us today. Anne-Marie's not joining us today, but she will be back next week. And I've been doing this podcast, as listeners know, for nearly 13 years. I'll be having the 13th anniversary in September. And I started it back then, as I've said so many different times, because I needed help and I couldn't think of any other way to do it. I was in the midst of a horrible financial crunch, going deeper in debt and all that. My business had crashed. I mean, everything had fallen apart. And I'd heard about this LOA stuff and it's not a little bit weird, a little bit funky, but hey, I was running out of ideas. So start a podcast, get some experts on, let them teach me. And it worked. It was great. It was wonderful. We haven't talked a whole lot about LOA a lot over the last few years because, 2,000 episodes later, you kind of cover them in the first 300. So you're done at that point. But we bring it in occasionally. Today, I think I'm actually going to get a bit of an education beyond and above what I already knew about it. And I love adding to my knowledge base. So this is going to be fun. My guest today is named Reginald Martin. And he is an expert in Kametaphysics, a term I'd never even heard of before today, but I think we're going to know all about it by the end of today. So, Reginald, welcome. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great, Walt. It's good to be here, man. So I'm excited.
Yeah, this is going to be good. So, all right, first things first, you got to give me a little bit of an education and everybody else. What the heck is Kametaphysics?
So Kametaphysics is, in a nutshell, it is the idea of bringing LOA, what we call LOA today, back to its ancient roots. Okay. So, and this is the idea of the Egyptian idea of the Ka, which is the soul, and then metaphysics, so which is the philosophy of the idea of spirituality, really. And then that's kind of the way I look at metaphysics. It's just another word for spirituality. So it's taking it out of the realm of our religious vocabulary, which is a lot of times how we access the ideas of metaphysics, and then the idea of the soul, which is what the ancient Egyptian word is the Ka. So Ka metaphysics. So soul level, our soul level operating system is how I like to look at that.
Ooh, I like that. The soul operating system. That's a nice term. Yeah. So give us a little more about that background. I mean, okay, Ka is soul in ancient Egyptian, but tell us a little bit more about how they saw the whole thing.
So from the ancient Egyptian perspective and the ancient Kemetic, so I use Kemetic and Egyptian interchangeably. Okay. So Kemetic is actually the ancient term for ancient Egypt. Okay. So
really?
Prehistoric Egypt. All right.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
So we're talking about these ideas that are 10,000 years old or more.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Well, their idea of the Ka is the idea that we all began before we came into the physical. We began in a metaphysical realm. So that is the primary realm that everything in the universe started from. Okay. And you've probably heard of the idea of mentalism.
Sure.
Okay. So that idea is that encapsulates the idea that everything started from the mind of the creator, because philosophically, the way that they looked at it, the creator didn't split itself, because then that means that there would be two competing creators. So the only way that it could actually create and be the source of all is that it created from the mind. Okay. So the idea is that the soul, or the light of the creator, descended into matter at some point. So you've heard probably, I don't know if you've heard of Atum, Ra, Ptah. So all of these ancient Egyptian, what we call netters, okay? So a lot of people speak of them in the terms of being gods, but that's not how the ancient Egyptians looked at it.
How did
the ancient Egyptians, I'm sorry?
I said, how did they see it?
So the ancient Egyptians saw everything as an aspect or an extension of the creator, everything in nature as an extension of the creator. So what we call gods were actually personified functions of nature. Okay. Personified functions of how the universe came into being. Okay. So the idea that Ra, what you'll normally hear is people say Ra is the sun god.
Sure.
But the sun actually became a metaphor for the light of the creator descending into matter. So the
Oh.
will and light of the creator descending into matter, and the sun became a metaphor for that idea. Okay. So out of the metaphysical came the soul and the sun.
Mm.
Okay. So that's why you'll hear all of these always connected to the idea of the sun god. But essentially, philosophically, it is the light of the creator that is in every aspect of the universe.
Oh, okay. Interesting
Okay.
that they had that level of metaphor going on 10,000 years ago.
Yes, yes. The other part of that is that I found very interesting, because what I actually did is, when I first heard The Secret back in 2006, the first thing that I recognized was that that in that movie they said that the Greeks or they alluded to that the
Yeah.
Greeks had the secret.
They
Okay,
very,
they didn't
very lightly
necessarily say
touched
that.
on it. Yeah, they barely
Yeah,
mentioned
yeah.
it was there.
They just showed some images.
Yeah,
Okay,
right.
but that piqued my interest because I knew that the ancient Egyptians taught the Greeks.
Okay.
Okay, so that made me start to want to ask questions about, okay, well, how ancient is this?
Sure.
So I started to study it, and then so went back and started to see the foundational principles of what we call LOA today. But what I ended up discovering, not only was it the foundational principles of LOA, but it was the foundation of my childhood religion of Christianity.
Really? Really? Okay.
Yes. So what I found was is that what we were taught as the Bible, and the stories and stuff that we taught in the Bible, are actually frameworks. So the stories and the people are personifications of these ancient functions.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So it ended up answering questions for two different systems that I had a lot of questions about.
Yeah, sure. I can see that. Interesting
Yeah.
too that the tie is that you're drawing there is between Ka or Kameta. I'm saying it
A
wrong.
metaphysics.
Kameta. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, for instance, of other teachers who have drawn on Christian teachings and kind of said, well, the way they're originally presented, that's not quite right. Here's the way it really is. One of them comes to my mind is Neville Goddard, who very much talked about. He basically took all of the primary biblical principles about Christ and turned it into an exploration of consciousness, which was
Yes.
novel and quite unusual, not being done very often.
Neville was novel, huh?
Neville was novel, yeah.
Well,
not only was he novel, he was actually quite a salesman, in my opinion, because I don't know if you knew this, he did almost all of his talks in Catholic buildings.
I had no idea. No.
He did. He had like this arrangement with the Catholic Church, and they were okay with it. I mean, that's the part that blows my mind. How did he get in there?
Right. Man.
Because
Well,
I mean,
he
he was
obviously
not
had to be
teaching
a
the
good
gospel
salesman.
that they were teaching. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Yeah. Really.
So it's interesting
And
how these things play out, but yeah.
well,
So
the thing
how'd you
is that
how'd you find all this stuff? I mean, how'd you dig it all up?
it's just it's been years. So I've been studying this since what? So metaphysics since around 2006,
Okay.
and coupled with that, the ancient Egyptian teachings I've been studying since probably around 2009. So
Okay.
so I've been studying these and that and metaphysics for almost 20 years now. So,
Right.
but I was studying comparative religion even many years before that because I wanted some answers, and
Yeah.
so the answers from how I grew up in the church and stuff like that, I wasn't getting the answers that were satisfactory for me. So I was
Yeah.
looking for a lot.
That theme plays out a lot. I mean, just from the guests on this show, I can tell you that is a very common theme.
Yeah. And hey, Walt, the main question that I wanted answered that really started me to search metaphysics and Kametaphysics was, how do I get my prayers answered?
Ah,
You know,
yeah.
because I'm like, I at the time in my life there were some things that were going that you know uh, they weren't that I wasn't getting my prayers answered, but people who were doing stuff that wasn't supposed to be rewardable
Yeah,
for
that was
getting
always
rewarded.
confusing, wasn't it? That's always very confusing. If you don't know how the thing
Yeah,
works, it's like, what?
yeah. So I'm like, wait a minute. How is he getting what he
Right,
wanted and doing all the wrong things?
right.
And I'm trying to do, at least in my mind, Walt. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
saying
sure.
I
Yeah.
was doing everything perfectly. I mean,
Well, nobody
I
does,
mean,
but I mean, you were doing your best. That's the point. You were doing it the best way
right,
you
right.
know. Yeah.
But he wasn't,
And
but
he
he
didn't
was still
care.
getting everything that he desired. So I'm like,
Right.
something is not adding up here,
That's right.
you know.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
so that's what started me to kind of like going down that road and trying to research that because I get in a sense, I guess I was a control freak in a way that I wanted to learn how to control my reality because I had gotten to the point where totally and completely believed and understood the reality of thoughts become things.
Okay.
Okay.
What do you think made that real for you?
Life.
Oh, okay.
So it's
Just in general.
just really living life.
Okay.
Even before I saw The Secret, I had started to get an inkling of that thoughts
Okay.
become things. Okay, and through that, talking about just going through life, Walt, it was through really my relationships because around 2000 I had gotten divorced. Okay,
Mm,
and so I went through a really dark stage in my life. The dark
sure.
night of the soul.
Right.
But even after that, so between 2000 2006, I was dating and just doing a lot of stuff. So what I started to recognize is that all the women that I was dating were pretty much the same woman, just different names and faces.
Yeah. Doesn't that freak you out when you discover something like that's going on?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
serious.
So it does, but it also took some realistic soul searching and looking at me. You know,
Well, yeah. I
uh,
mean, well, the first thing you have to do, and this can take a while, is you have to be willing to say, wait a minute, what's the common denominator here?
Bingo. That's exactly what I said. So I said, unless all of these women got together and conspired,
It's a conspiracy. Yeah.
yeah, unless they got together and conspired to treat me and do the same exact things, the
Mm,
common denominator was me.
yeah. Which is
Okay.
freaky when you first experience that because you say,
Yes.
nah, that can't be it.
Can't be. It's like, wait a minute, wait a minute. Let me figure this out here. So I started asking that question, and then what I recognized is that the common denominator was my thought process. It was
Mm.
my beliefs about me and why I was choosing those type women.
Now, I got to stop you there. You actually were able to like come to that conclusion on your own. I mean, you didn't have to have
Yes,
to do it. Wow, I give you credit for that. That's a hard one
yes,
to do on your own.
yeah, yeah, and it's just again, it was just soul searching. But when The Secret came out, it confirmed what I was thinking. I just didn't have a language for it.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah.
Okay, so once The Secret came out and I started to listen to it. A funny story behind that was my brother was the one who introduced me to it, and
Yeah.
he called me one day and he says, "Man, did you hear about The Secret?"
Mm.
I'm like, "The Secret? No, man. What's The Secret?" And so he started telling me all of this stuff. And Walt, I started getting a little bit ticked because I'm like, dude, when are you going to tell me the secret? You know, I'm like, get to speed up the story.
Can we just
You
move to
know,
the end part, please?
yeah, can you just give me the secret? Because at that point I was kind of like, is he trying to play with me or
Yeah, right.
what is
Yeah,
he doing?
sure.
So it was, I guess it was after he finally told me about the movie and I started watching, then it dawned on me, oh, the movie is The Secret. It's about the secret. So I stopped being mad at him at that point.
Well,
But
that's good.
but
Yeah.
that was the deal. But yeah, but once I watched the movie, it took me in a whole new direction because it helped me to reframe and redefine ideas that metaphysical ideas
Mm.
that were for a long time only had been in a frame of religion.
Yeah, sure.
So to start talking about energies, to start talking about the light and the soul and stuff like that, it just it gave me a new frame. So Even the idea of, so once I started getting into the Kemetic teachings, it gave me the new esoteric frame of understanding how us and we are all a light or a spark of light
Hmm.
that is in human form. Okay,
I got
a
to give you
spark
credit,
of
man.
the light.
I really have to give you credit because when I first got exposed to The Secret, well, I got to take a step back. When I was a kid, I was in a Presbyterian church. My parents, my parents and my uncle and aunt were the leading families of the church. We were the leading donors,
Mm-hmm.
all that kind of stuff. So we were, the thing kind of focused around us. And I became a communicant member at age 13, and age 14, I quit the church because I did something that they hadn't really told me to do. I read the Bible cover to cover, and I said, "Well, wait a minute, you left all this other stuff out."
Right.
I mean, how about explaining this part? Because this part doesn't add up to what you're talking about. And no, they wouldn't go there. So I ended up leaving the church, which was a little bit embarrassing, I think, for my folks, because I was the oldest son. And, that didn't set a really good precedent, shall we say.
Right.
So,
Right. I'm sure.
yeah. So bottom line was I became very anti-spiritual in general because I
Yeah.
associated spirituality with religion. And
Yes.
for
Exactly.
years, I had dabbled in it a little bit later on, but dabbled would be about the extent of it. And then by the time The Secret comes out, I'm pretty much a dyed-in-the-wool agnostic. Like, I wasn't quite an
Yeah.
atheist, but I was pretty much agnostic. Like, yeah, I don't really buy any of this crap. So The Secret comes out, and I say, oh, it's more of this stuff. Okay, I don't really buy it. I don't think this is really it. It's intriguing. I mean, what they're saying is interesting. I can see why that would be appealing, but I'm not really sure. I mean, how does this stuff really work? Honestly, I mean, it's a
Mm-hmm.
great,
Mm-hmm.
great in theory, right? It's all great in theory, but in practice, not so much. So that's where I
Right.
was at when it came out. So I hear you telling your story about how you just kind of pieced it all together. I said, well, damn, what's wrong with me? I couldn't do it.
Well, see, Walt, I had been through the atheistic the realm. I was atheist for a long time. I I even went to a Bible college. I got a scholarship. That's how I ended up there.
Oh,
But
okay.
taking seminary classes because they were required.
Mm.
But I was, the whole time I was at college, I was an atheist. I was like, this is
And
just
not
not
many
it.
atheists in seminary school. I mean, just that's not the way it
No,
usually
no, no.
works.
And I wasn't in seminary school either. I was attending the college because I got a scholarship.
Yeah,
So an
right. Yeah,
athletic
I get you.
scholarship. Okay. But that was it. So they required us to take some Bible classes. But
Right.
but yeah, so I had went through all of that too. But there were still even some things before then that had happened in my life that were miraculous or
Oh,
unexplainable, but some things that just, it was like I had things that would happen that I just knew on some level something was working right for me. You know,
okay.
didn't know
Okay.
what, didn't know how, but things were just, there was enough to clue me that there was something more to to these ideas. So like I said, when I got a hold
Okay.
of The Secret,
Yeah.
it's like it confirmed a lot of stuff, and then like I said, just gave me another language to couch what was same as you. Anything religious and or anything metaphysical to me was no more than just religion.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But now what I recognize is the difference between how I look at religion and spiritualities, they are two separate things.
Oh, they are.
Religion is more about believing that the power of God, okay, is outside of you.
Right.
It is an external, something you, this being that you have to placate, you have to get his blessing, or whatever. But
I,
it's
I was always
outside of
astonished, by the
you.
way. I was always astonished at how judgmental this external being was, too.
Yeah, yeah, kind of
It was
kind of
very,
funny how that was, and
yeah.
how they always seem to work for the people in the power that wanted to tell
Funny
you
how
how you
that
should live your
is.
life.
Yeah.
I
Go
mean,
figure.
it was amazing how God just knew this stuff. So, but that's how I have finally come to look that as long as you live to placate this external
Mm.
idea, you will always live your life in conflict.
Oh, yeah.
Always. Spirituality, and I call that, as a psychologist call it, it's an external locus of control. Okay.
Nice. I like that phrase. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Spirituality, on the other hand, is about you learning to connect to that source from within. Okay,
Right.
it is an internal locus of control, and from a metaphysics perspective, it is about you developing and understanding your power as a creator in human form. We
Mm,
are a seed of the source. We
mm,
are a spark of the source. And I like to say that we're all gods and goddesses here on the earth plane in
mhm.
training.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So that's the Kemetic perspective, and how I like to even talk about the Kemetic perspective of God, because we were taught to even associate ourselves in Christianity. The brand that I was taught was that to even associate yourself with the Creator was blasphemous.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
know. But it was but they had two different ways. The ancient Kemetic idea is that, and I like to use the analogy, if God is an ocean, okay, God is not a personality, but if it's an ocean of consciousness, okay,
Okay.
then we are all drops within that ocean,
Okay.
which means that if we are drops in the ocean, we are the same as the ocean, just not the same magnitude. So
Okay.
we are drops in the ocean, and they're in the ocean in a drop.
Yeah.
Okay. That's how the ancient Africans and the ancient Cometians looked at that. And so for them, we are, instead of being born a sinner, instead of being born unworthy,
Yeah, that was a
instead
great
of
way to
all of
teach
this
that.
stuff.
So when if they'd actually wanted to create a blueprint on how to drive Walt out of the church, that was it right there.
Yes, yes. And the idea that you could go to hell for eternity, that's one that
Yeah,
I
like,
just could
what
not
the.
I could not wrap my mind around that
No,
idea, you know?
no, that just
And
doesn't work.
yeah, so that is how I really or how the ancients really looked at us. So instead of being a born sinner, it is the opposite. We are born divine. And when it says that we are made in the image of God, the image is that we have the ability to create from our mind and project it into physicality.
By the way, did you notice, like I did, the direct contradiction in those two concepts? Because you presented them beautifully, but the one concept is we're all born sinners, and the other concept is we're all born in the image of God. My reaction is, well, which is it?
Yeah, exactly,
Aren't
exactly.
you saying that
And
God
try to
is
add,
the sinner? What's
try to
going on
ask,
here?
yeah, and try to ask a Christian to explain that, and
Oh
see what kind
God,
of
yeah, forget that.
convoluted
That's not
ideas you
happening.
get. You know. So yeah, well, we're born in the image, but we're not like. You know, well, what does image kind of say? You know. So, but there was so many of these contradictions like that that I just, you know.
Yeah.
But
Well,
if
the
but
great
what I
acronym that
do
goes
is
along today. The acronym today is WTF. That pretty much sums the whole thing up.
exactly, exactly, exactly. You know. So but what I've done is I've developed from this ancient system. It is really reclaiming the ancient ideas,
Mm.
because from a Kemetic perspective, the idea that we know as Jesus Christ in the church actually existed 10,000 years before,
Oh yeah,
but
it's
it
been
wasn't a person. It was the idea of two different functions of the creator that manifests itself as human.
hmm.
So from the Kemetic perspective, the idea of Yeusa,
Okay.
okay, is the primordial light
Okay.
that descends into physicality. Okay,
Hmm.
and it takes different levels. So that's where you see Atum, Ra, and Ptah. Those are just different lights. There are
Okay.
different aspects of the light. Okay,
Hmm.
so the Godhead. And Yeusa is or the name of Jesus is a cognate of Yeusa. And if you come, you how you go there is you go Yeusa, which is the Egyptian word. You go to Yeshua, which is the Hebrew word, and
Hmm.
then you go to Yesus, which is the Greek word. and that ends up as Jesus. Okay, but the idea is that it is the primordial light that incarnates into the physical. It descends into the physical. So it's the idea of the virgin birth. And the way that the ancients looked at that idea is that the being in the physical was tantamount to being in the womb. Okay, so the soul is in the feminine phase when it incarnates into the physical. Okay, so that is the idea of the virgin birth before Christianity changed it to something else.
Right,
okay?
right. Yeah, and that's an important point, because there were a lot of teachings prior to Christianity that Christianity drew upon. Christianity actually didn't generate a whole lot of new information. It pulls from a bunch of other sources.
No, what I like to say is what was new was not true. What was true was not new.
Was not new, yeah. There you go. Right.
You know?
Yeah. Good
so
stuff.
so that's how that came about. But the other part of that is the idea of the Christ. And in ancient Egypt, it was KRST.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So that's and it was it came from the KRST to the Christos in Greek to Christ in Christianity. But they ended up making a composite character. So the idea that became Jesus was actually in ancient Greece through the Gnostics. They actually personified the idea of someone that brings enlightenment, or the revealer.
Interesting. It's also interesting how the Gnostics contribute more to Christianity than any other group that I know of, and yet they're the ones who get kicked out. I'm fascinated by that one.
Yes, because the Gnostics did not believe in a historical savior.
Right.
And because they didn't believe in the historical savior, that became a threat. Anybody that the idea of the Christ was a person who through Yehusa, or through what we call Jesus, became enlightened and gained wisdom from the life experience. That's Christ. But if you didn't have that go-between, you needed to be born a sinner, or accept the idea that you were born a sinner, and you believe in the resurrection in order to be a part of the church, of course.
Yeah, that was the other thing that I wondered about. I mean, I bought into it at first because you had to in order to become a communicant member of the church. But by the time I was ready to leave, I was asking myself, why is that such a beautiful story? Because that's the way it's always presented. That's like the great story, the greatest story ever told. That's basically what that's presented as. And I kept asking myself, what's so good about it? I don't get it. What's so good?
Yeah. And all you were supposed to do was just believe. So even if you didn't have an answer for it, just believe it. Yeah, that was it. You know.
Yeah.
But from a Kemetic perspective, that story was about all of us as souls incarnating and going through life experience and gaining wisdom as we are here. So in the feminine phase, when you incarnate into the physical, okay, the physical body becomes the womb or the tomb.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So the idea is that you were put here to awaken to the idea, or remember that you were a soul in human form. When you remember that you are a soul, guess what that is called? The resurrection.
Enlightenment? Resurrection? Oh, okay. That's resurrection. All right.
You re-erected, or you resurrected, or remembered.
Okay. Boy, that's not what they taught me in church school.
No, that's not what I learned either, Walt.
Yeah, right.
I didn't learn that one either. Okay. But
this actually would have been interesting. What they taught me there, I was having trouble keeping my eyes open, but this actually would have had some interest.
Yeah, it does for a lot of us.
Right.
Because then even the stories, what I have found is even those stories, the biblical stories, once you get away from the literalism and get to what I'm talking about, with the esoteric teachings, it becomes relevant to us today.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
It becomes infinitely more valuable to us today, but not as a story you're supposed to believe, but as a framework that helps guide you through your life, and through the idea of what we call the law of attraction, how all that happens, all of that stuff. It becomes infinitely more relevant to us.
Which is quite ironic in its own right, because, like you said, what they're trying to do is get you to believe in this other thing, when in fact, when you have the structure, the belief is just there. You don't even have to work at it. It's not like,
No,
I got to make myself believe this. No, it just, oh yeah, that resonates. I get it. Sure, I believe that.
yeah, and a lot of it really, we had to believe in absurdity
Yes.
in order to accept it.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea of Adam and Eve, these two people, they had 3 sons, but they populated the entire earth.
Yeah, that was amazing.
So God suspended, like, nature for just this period of time.
Just for that one moment. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Or, as I was told, I asked a Christian this story once, and they tried to explain it. It was that God gave a special dispensation for incest at that point.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but
Right.
those are the logical hoops.
I'll get back to you on that one.
Yeah, exactly. But those are the kind of logical hoops that we had to jump through in order to believe. So,
Yeah.
but bottom line is that it really it ends up, once you come back to the ancient teachings and you get to the idea of ma'at, which is basically hidden and coded within the Bible. Ma'at teaches the teachings of Ma'at is that is truth, balance, and reciprocity. Okay. Ma'at is and this is all you start to understand these teachings because there is a symbolic framework that helps you not only with the logic but also through intuition. So you end up using both hemispheres of your brain.
Yes,
okay,
very important. Very important.
which is very important. When you use both hemispheres, then the saying is it's common sense.
Yeah, right. The one thing that's so uncommon.
Yeah. So
one of the things that really fascinates me is, and I get this actually from many of the guests that come out of the show, not all of them, but there's a significant minority of them I get this from. There are biases sounds really negative. I'm looking for a word that doesn't have that level of negativity attached to it. But there are orientations, let's put it that way. There are orientations in favor of logic, and there are orientations in favor of emotion. And sometimes I feel like that people are pushing one or pushing the other. And the thought that always goes through my mind is, why not both? But that seems to be anathema. I mean, a lot of people resist that.
Yeah, no, I know. And a lot of them are just like you were saying, at some point, all of us go through that phase when we finally extract ourselves from the religious beliefs. We go through the rebellious phase of, we don't want to believe anything. We don't want to have anything to do with it. We don't like the language, with all of that stuff,
Yeah.
And if you think about it, in religion, a lot of times, to accept certain emotions was not a good thing.
Oh yeah.
So anger, desire, lust, all those things, which I guess lust can be wrapped in with desire. So on some level, but
yeah, that's true. Well, also, anger was one of those things that was, there was on the one hand, on the other hand. On the one hand, if you were the male patriarch, anger was okay for you. If you were the female, forget it. You weren't allowed to be angry.
Right. Exactly. But if you're talking about the law of attraction, and we're talking about our vibrational essence, emotions becomes the translation of our vibrational essence.
Mm-hmm.
So from a Kametaphysics perspective, vibration ends up integrating emotion in our physical form.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
When you are so one of the ways that I teach this is it's really simple. A simple process to understand is one, you want to think about being, you want to be aligned, okay, with your soul expression.
Okay.
Okay. How do you know when you're aligned with your soul expression?
Good question.
You feel good.
Okay.
Plain and simple. When you're feeling good, you're happy, you're joyful, you are aligned with your soul energetically. Okay.
Which, by the way, once you're already on this path, you're off of the religious path.
Bingo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because you're even thinking about emotions as something that is a guidance system and not something that you should avoid.
And that it's something that actually has a positive side to it.
Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And the opposite side of that is when you feel bad, when you feel negative, you're misaligned.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you stay aligned? You focus on the things that you desire, the things that those become the guidance system to it. Your joy, your happiness is the light for your path.
Okay.
Now, to me, this goes beyond simple positive thinking because a lot of times what people will do and they'll end up throwing out law of attraction because this positive thinking stuff doesn't work. You know, it is they will find that there's some bumps in the road. And this is the reason being is that positive thinking has to be coupled with a positive being. So in other words, if you think of your mind like a garden, okay, and positive thoughts are like seeds, you're planting seeds. If your whole being is about negativity and pessimism, you can have a positive thought every now and then and plant that seed.
Sure.
Okay. But if it's in toxic soil, it's not nourished.
The way I've often liked to explain what you're talking about, I don't do it quite as eloquently as you do. I like to say it like this. Imagine that you were trying to convince a friend that you were positive. You say, I'm so positive. I'm like, I am the most positive. I can't understand why people don't understand how positive I am. I am the most positive person out there. Or the flip side of that, oh, I'm so negative. I'm such a negative person. The attitude and the words not matching.
Exactly. And the way I say it, the way you just said that is your words can speak or your mind can go to something positive in the moment. But if your whole environment, your whole being is negative and toxic to that seed, it cannot manifest.
And one of the phrases that really drives me crazy, it's become quite popular over the last 5 or 6 years, is the term toxic positivity.
Yeah.
And I understand what they're talking about. It certainly is toxic. I just don't understand why they have to put the word positivity in there.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they can couple that together either.
It doesn't make any sense.
I think what they're saying is that the positivity is not authentic.
It's not authentic, right? Yeah, but
you just
excuse me, doesn't that mean that it's not positive?
Exactly. But I think it's a lot of times it's people that are essentially they're trying to project that they're positive.
Yes.
But on the inside, they're tore up.
Yeah. Fake it till you make it. That's what they're saying. Fake it till you make it.
Yeah. So, but from a Kemetic perspective, through this process, you can't hide from yourself like that. Because if you with the idea of ma'at being the idea of reciprocity, okay, thoughts become things. Okay, what you put out is what you get back. Okay, that's where that idea comes from. So your vibrational essence is actually life, your life being projected, or your inner vibration being projected outward as life. You are seeing your beliefs projected as life. Okay?
Yeah.
So when there's aspects of your life that are not going as you wish, then you search your mind for the beliefs that are tied to that projection.
Or as I like to put it, I look in the mirror and I say to myself, checkmated myself again, huh?
Yeah, So it's like people talk about shadow work and stuff like that. And I get that idea, But from a Kemetic perspective, there are no shadows. It's just you not understanding or seeing what the symbols represent of your inner vibrational being.
That's a great
Okay?
point, because we do pay, that's part of the judgmental side that kind of carries over, even though many of us leave the Christian belief system behind, or some of the other major religious systems behind. We still carry some of it along with us.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Right. And that's one of the things we carry along. We don't believe in judgmentalism, but we're going to be a little bit judgmental.
Yeah. No, and Walt, you made a great point, because excuse me, because what I see a lot of times is what happens is that people, they might leave the religion, but the religion doesn't leave them. Because and this is where a lot of times people don't realize when they're trying to manifest something, if you're still in that frame of I'm a born sinner and I'm unworthy, then you're going to put yourself in contradiction to what you're wanting to manifest.
Right.
So you're operating in that frame and you're wanting to manifest something, but yet to desire something is sinful.
Yeah.
To want something more for yourself is selfish. Okay. So you're putting out a contradiction to the vibration and to the desire that you want to manifest. And people don't recognize that a lot of times,
Well, for good reason, because the leaders don't recognize it. The people who taught them that don't recognize it.
No, they don't. And it's because they operate from a different perspective. It's not about vibrational integration, because that's really, once you start to looking at things from an energetic perspective, then you're able to integrate you're able to integrate mind, body, and soul. Okay. And when you're able to recognize your emotions as signals rather than something you should avoid, those are two different ways to look at you as a being. When you recognize your life as the projection of your signals, it gives you a whole different set of tools to work with.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's also interesting how even when we are presented with these truths, because that's really what they are, they're truths, how long it can take us to accept them. Or even we'll accept like 95% of it. But there's some piece of it that it's sticky for us. And so I can't let go of that part yet. So I'm just going to hang on to that part, and I'll accept the other 95%. It's amazing how often we do that.
Yeah, I know that. I know that one well, Walt. I like to say life, I hold on to it until life kicks my ass.
Yeah.
And then I have to let it go.
Yes. Yeah. Well, sometimes I even wait a little bit longer.
Yeah. You got to do it 2 or 3 times.
Sometimes, yeah. I got a hard head. I learn slowly sometimes.
Oh, you're talking my language right there, because I'm the same one. I have a hard head, and sometimes I'm just going to say, no, you know what? I got to try it this way again. The first ass kicking was so nice, I have to try it twice.
Well, actually, that's a theme I've been mentioning quite a bit lately on the show. The theme of just how brutal we are to ourselves. The way I love to explain it is, if we treated our friends the way we treat ourselves, we wouldn't have any friends, because we're just so brutal on ourselves.
Yes.
And it can take a while to unlearn that. I mean, you can kind of put your mind on it saying, okay, yeah, I got to change that. But it takes, because there are a lot of roots in there that you have to pull out.
Exactly. It's a lot of tentacles that stay in there. That's what I call them, is these tentacles from this one umbrella of belief that just, and you have to unravel them. It's like, I like to say, it's like an onion. You got to peel it. You peel one part back and you go like, oh, what's that? Peel another part, something else. Peel another. Man, this onion just goes on and on and on.
There are times when you want to take out a knife and just go slice. I mean, you can't take this anymore.
Right. Oops, I didn't need that finger, That was extra. I got 9 other ones, But yeah, No, you're absolutely right. But I also think that at some point wisdom kicks in. So as we
Mm,
get older, the we now because and I told you back before that, I was kind of a control freak.
mm.
Well, what life taught me is you can try to control everything, but man, you're going to get tired.
Very.
So once I got my behind kicked a few times, I just got to let go and just relax and just go with the flow.
Yeah, at some point you
So
kind of get to a point you say, I'm done. I just can't handle this anymore.
yeah, yeah.
And
And
that's when
how
all the
many
good stuff starts to happen because you stop.
exactly? How many times have you had, Walt, where you're like, I'm gonna manifest this, I'm gonna manifest, you're like, manifest, and then something happens and then it doesn't happen, and you go like, forget it. Then all of a sudden, here it comes.
That's what I was married for 23 years. That's how I manifested my wife.
Yeah,
My ex-wife, I met her literally 1 month after I quit. After I
yeah,
quit dating, I quit relationships. I said, I can't handle this anymore. This
yep,
heartache, I can't do this anymore. I'm done. I
there you,
announced it. I said, I'm not dating anymore. Anybody else, just go away. And
yeah.
then a month later, a friend of mine, I'm in a dance committee, a friend of mine from the dance committee said, I got a friend who wants to meet you. Can I give you her phone number? I said, absolutely not, Deb. I quit this stuff. I'm done.
No, not me.
But she was also a therapist, so she kind of talked me into it. But still,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, you have to let go sometimes in ways that you
No,
don't really plan to.
exactly. But what it ends up teaching you is that if you just learn to start from the beginning at that point
Mm,
and you just relax, it does a couple of things. One, you don't get stressed out.
that helps. Yeah, it's a good thing.
Yeah, yeah. And two, you're able to just flow and just
Mm.
release and let go. And then what comes, and you can appreciate when it comes, or you can appreciate when it doesn't. But either way, you're okay.
Yes. You just touched on one of my favorite points. It was one that took me a long time after The Secret to learn. And that is, how do you appreciate something you don't like? Because that seemed impossible to me. I
Yeah.
mean, why would you even want to do that? Appreciate something I don't like? Who would be stupid enough to do that?
Right. Right.
It took a long time before I finally realized that's the way you actually get the true appreciation. But I mean, that took me literally years, Reginald.
No,
Years.
no, I agree. And I know it takes a lot of us a long time, because I think what it is, how I have to process that is that I might be in a space that I don't like,
Yes.
but I tend to find the silver lining in the cloud,
Mm-hmm.
and I can appreciate what the cloud has to offer.
Yeah, the way I did it for myself was I realized that I could appreciate something without liking it. I didn't have to like
Hmm.
it in order to appreciate it,
Yeah.
because even things that I really don't like at all, there are some values to them.
Yeah.
There are some.
Everything except Brussels sprouts, Walt.
Yeah, that okay,
No,
that's one. I get it. Yeah,
no,
the sprouts are not happening.
no, 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 no. There's always exceptions.
But I mean, even this is something I talk about a lot here on the program. I mean, I've had hundreds and hundreds of guests on the program over the years, and I don't agree with them all. I mean, that's just the nature of it, right? You're not going to agree
Right,
with everybody. And
right.
the part that really pisses me off is I learn more from the ones I disagree with.
Yeah. Funny how that happens, huh?
What? Wait a minute, that's not the way it's supposed to work.
Right, right.
But it is. And now it
Yeah,
doesn't mean I start agreeing with them. That's not what that means at all. But I learn, it gets your mind going, first of all.
exactly. That's what I was going to say. It,
It
it
gets your
makes
mind
you start asking different questions.
different questions. That's right. Yeah. And when you
Yeah,
start asking the different questions, you can actually get to the point where you can appreciate where they're coming from. You think they're full of crap, but you can appreciate where they're coming from. You get it. It
right,
makes sense to you, you know?
right. No,
Yeah.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, and that's where also is just having come from that religious background, you look for everybody to have agreement.
Yeah. Yeah.
If they can't agree, then you can't even be around them.
It's interesting, even in LOA circles, how often that idea gets passed along.
Yes.
There are a number of
Yes.
people. We all just need to be on the same page, and then everything will be better. And
Yeah.
I say, well, did you really learn the concept?
Exactly. That's not how. If everything was on the same page, if everybody liked the same stuff, and this is the way I say this to people. If we all agreed on the same stuff, then you know that pizza and ice cream is the best meal in the world. There would be no disagreement. But not everybody agrees with me on that, Walt.
Yeah,
I don't
scary,
know why, but
it's a funny thing. Well, I think we want to believe that thought can be homogenous because we feel safer there.
yes,
If everybody thought the same way, then everything would be fine. We don't really
agreed.
take it out to the end and realize, well, yeah, if everybody thought the same way, we'd all be dead. They don't actually take it that far.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
As if somehow you could all be Stepford wives and somehow have a life out of it.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure how that works, but
nobody would disagree because it'd be like,
right.
Yes, dear. But I think the principle that taught me that everybody doesn't have to agree is that every experience is valid.
Yes.
Okay. And if that was not the case, then it wouldn't exist. So when I think about the being an aspect of creation, everything in creation is. So when I think of the creator, everything is essentially a paradox. It is, and the way I define a paradox is it is this and that.
Yeah, I like that.
And if it's this and that, then it's valid.
Yeah, that's right.
So I don't need for you to agree with my that, because your this is just as valid as my that.
That's beautiful. That's very similar to the approach that I take. I mean, you basically have taken the morality out of it, which is what you really need to do. The way I do it is I take the morality out by saying I either like it or I don't like it. But it isn't a question of whether it's immoral or moral. It's I just don't like it or I just like it. That's it. Because your preference is your preference.
Yep.
You can have whatever preference you want. It's up to you.
Yeah.
There's no rules about you must only have this preference.
Right. Yeah. No, and the way I look at that is really morality to me is a moving it's a moving stick, a moving target.
Moving target. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's and from a Kemetic perspective, morality is not a part necessarily of the journey of the soul. That doesn't mean that you live an immoral life. It's just that you have to recognize the paradox and be able to live within that paradox.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's good.
So in that sense, as a soul, you're learning that every possibility is valid, and it does not have to be or have to be in your wheelhouse or your level of agreement.
Right. So you routinely teach and pass along the principles of Kametaphysics on your channel on reginaldmartin.substack.com. I presume that's like the best place to find you, right?
Yeah, that's the best place to reach me. And I'm always teaching, I'm writing, I do videos, but through that channel is where you can get an introduction to what I do.
What kind of stuff is, if somebody visits, what are they likely to find?
They're going to find esoteric knowledge. So because for me, a big part of why we are not able to manifest is that we do stay stuck in that frame of I'm a born sinner and I'm unworthy. So I take people back to the original teachings to say, hey, this is not what that meant. And in order to break that frame when they're deconstructing, in order to break that frame, you have to replace it with something else, because people can deconstruct for years and stay in that limbo state or that limbo state, for years. I did it, but I help them move through that. So they're going to find esoteric knowledge that helps reframe the religious ideas. You're going to find I'm going to teach you metaphysical knowledge and energetic, how to um, energetically integrate your life. And then I like to say I even teach metaphysics for practical living, because a lot of times so many of these ideas can be so abstract, they just make no sense.
Yeah.
They got to make sense to me.
Good.
So those are the kind of things that that you would learn while you're reading or watching a video, or it might be I have an article and a video.
Okay.
So I have a YouTube channel, Kametaphysics Sacred Alchemy, that I'll connect a lot of the videos that I've done over the years.
Okay. Do you like having people reach out to you? Personally reach out to you?
Yeah, sure. They can on Substack.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just if you connect with my Substack, I have a deal that are, what do you call it, the DM. So you can DM me. Okay.
All right. Good stuff. I like that.
But I also, I do classes and courses. I actually certify people with Kametaphysics, so I created a business framework for it. So all of that.
Very nice. I like that. I love what you're doing, and I love where you got it from. I mean, the research that you did, that's not the kind of thing that you can just find anywhere. That takes a lot of work to go find that stuff.
It does, but it's something that I absolutely love, Walt. I mean, the researching and what happens invariably is that I'll research and find something. I go, oh man, people will want to know this.
Yeah, I hear you.
And even in my darkest hours, the thing that excites me, and this is where I say, one of the lessons that I learned is you have to follow your joy. Okay. And even so, even in your darkest hours, you have to find that spark of joy that you can focus on, even if it's just for a minute,
And that's the secret right there. That is how you do it, by focusing on it for a minute.
Yes. And then a minute turns into 2, turns into 60, and so on. But just through following my joy, the joy of researching, it has brought me out of my darkest times.
That's beautiful.
And but that's just a part of my being. So yes, I research a lot. And even one time I'd lost everything that I had. I was in a 1-room hotel. Walt, I was studying metaphysics for 16 to 18 hours a day, literally.
Wow. Yeah.
For a year and a half.
Yeah. I love it there. I told you what happened. My business got wiped out by the 2008 financial crisis, and I couldn't recover. So by the time I started the podcast in 2012, I was like desperate. I mean, I was married,
a school teacher that got laid off.
Okay,
right around the same time.
You got it right. Exactly. Yeah. And it's a miserable place to be. It really is. But on the other hand, my goodness, look what we learned.
Yeah. It lays the I would say it ended up laying the foundation for who you are now and what you do.
Sure. Oh yeah. And for you too,
I know that was the case for me.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah. So out of something that was negative, something positive. We had to find a silver lining in the cloud.
I like the way Abraham Hicks says it. You want to understand what it is that you don't want, so you understand better what you do want.
Bingo. The contrast.
Yeah. The contrast. The contrast is powerful. Instead of rejecting the contrast, embrace it.
There you go. You go.
Like
see where it leads you.
That's right. And guaranteed it's going to be a roller coaster.
Absolutely. There's going to be some bumps. It's never. But you have to embrace the path. It's this and that.
That's right. It's true. So, Reginald, this has been great. I've been loving this, man. I'm so glad you came out of the program. And thank you for introducing us to Kametaphysics. That's really cool. I'm really very grateful that you did that.
Well, Walt, I am so happy to be here. I've enjoyed this with you, man. So really, really and truly.
One thing that I like to do at the end of every one of these programs, because so many guests come on like yourself who have all these wonderful things to share, is this kind of ties to what I recognize that we're able to do now that we couldn't do 30 years ago, because we can do this. I mean, you're in Dallas, I'm in Connecticut, and we're having this video conversation. This is like directly out of science fiction for the 1960s. I mean, this is like impossible, and yet we're doing it every single day.
Remember Star Trek and the tricorder?
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
The flip phones, man. That's the same stuff, man.
It's the same stuff. Yeah, but now we're living it. But along with that has come a whole new way of not only interacting with each other, but if we're putting ideas out there, how do you market the ideas? How do you spread them and so forth? So you do podcasts, you do Substack, you do blogging, you do metaphysics, you do
This is
social
a
media,
great
you do
time to
write
be
books,
alive.
great courses. Oh, it's wonderful. And in the course of doing all of that, we're putting a lot of stuff out there. I mean, some of the stuff that you're doing, I'm sure there are fees associated, but a lot of it, we're just putting out the stuff because we want to help people.
Yes.
And we are helping people that we very often never even find out about, or what happened, or how they used it. And that's where I realized there's a gap there. So, Reginald, I like to fill that gap by saying, on behalf of those people that you've never met, never seen, never will meet, never will see, who you've been helping in ways you didn't even know about just by sharing what you're sharing, on their behalf, thank you for what you're doing, because you're making a difference in this world.
I appreciate that, man. That sends chills all over me. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for that.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. And thanks to our podcast listeners everywhere. We'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.